Hello, I'm Bishop Marcel Danfus, leader of the Diocese of Alexandria, Cornwall, which serves the Catholics of Stormont and Glengarry. This year, our diocese celebrates the 125th anniversary of its establishment. Such milestones provide us with a wonderful opportunity to look back at one's history. Now, the history of the diocese in the area is indeed a rich one. As a way of remembering and sharing, we have teamed up with TV Kojiko to produce a series of 5 vignettes. Each vignette shows part of our history through the eyes of our bishops. We hope you'll enjoy the following presentation.
Bishop Alexander Macdonnell, the Apostle of Ontario. About 1770, escaping rebellions in their homeland, some 600 predominantly Roman Catholic Scots sailed to the New World. From the clan Macdonnell of Glengarry, Scotland, most of these new immigrants initially settled in the Mohawk Valley in Upper New York State. 10 years later, the first priestly ministry was established at St. Regis. Not long after, a second mission, north of the St. Lawrence River, was established at St. Andrews. A chapel was built for the settlers of Glengarry and Stormont, a replica of which stands today in the old cemetery in St. Andrews West. In 1801, a new church was completed and still stands beside the current St. Andrew's Church. In 1785, a further boatload of immigrants, 500 strong, arrived from the north of Scotland, consisting of an entire parish, including their priest. This group came down the St. Lawrence River and landed at Lancaster, one of the original royal townships. Making their way north, they established the parish of St. Raphael. Commonly known at the time as the Blue Chapel, it served until the completion of St. Raphael Church in 1821. The parish of St. Raphael eventually became to be known as the cradle of the church in Ontario. By 1791, Britain had divided the central third of her lands in British North America, creating Lower and Upper Canada. Formed to govern and to accommodate Loyalist refugees from the United States after the American Revolution, Lower and Upper Canada would eventually play an integral part in the formation of our country. At the beginning of the 19th century, a young Scottish priest, Reverend Alexander Macdonnell, nicknamed the Warrior, and his poor flock arrived from Scotland to this new land. Soon thereafter, Father Macdonnell became the third pastor of St. Raphael Parish. As pastor of St. Raphael for 10 years, Father Macdonnell was in effect responsible for all of Upper Canada. At that time, there were only 2 churches and 3 priests serving this vast region. Father Macdonnell spent much of his time traveling throughout this far-reaching territory to serve the needs of his people, celebrate Mass, and administer the sacraments. He carried out this rigorous schedule well into his 70s, traveling as far north as Lake Superior, sometimes on foot or on horseback, sometimes in Indian birch canoes, crossing the lakes and rivers, and even descending the rapids of the St. Lawrence in the most dangerous of crafts. During the War of 1812, being fiercely loyal to Britain, his powerful influence was successfully used to lift the spirits of his parishioners in defense of their adopted land. In 1817, Father Macdonnell's knowledge of area politics played prominently in Upper Canada being set apart from the Sea of Quebec in Lower Canada. 3 years later, on December 31st of 1820, Father Macdonnell was ordained a bishop at the Ursuline Chapel in Quebec City. During this celebration, he received a magnificent episcopal ring from King George IV. 6 years later, on February 14th of 1826, Pope Leo XII appointed Bishop Alexander Macdonnell the first bishop of Upper Canada, with his see at Kingston. Not resting on his laurels, his busy schedule included 5 voyages to Europe, an average travel of 2,000 miles per year through the wilderness of Upper Canada. He toiled successfully to obtain a fair share of government grants in money and land for church and school purposes. In fact, the first grant of public money for a Catholic school in Ontario was obtained for St. Andrews, Stormont County, in 1832. He was also instrumental in establishing the Seminary of Iona at St. Raphael in 1826, and of Regiopolis College at Kingston in 1838. While constantly seeking to advance the Catholic Church's cause, late in the year of 1839, he returned to Scotland with the hope of recruiting new settlers, financial support, and Irish and Scottish priests to come to Upper Canada. As fate would have it, Bishop Macdonnell died on January 14, 1840, in Scotland. He was buried in his hometown of Glen Urquhart. No prelate in the history of the Catholic Church in Canada has been the subject of more biographical sketches and praise than the Honorable and Right Reverend Bishop Alexander Macdonnell. At the time of his death, 48 churches overseen by 30 priests stretched out across Upper Canada. In 1861, Bishop Horan of Kingston requested that Bishop Macdonnell's body be exhumed and returned to his adopted land. Memorial services were held in St. Raffles, St. Mary's at Williamstown, and St. Andrews. He was then taken to Kingston and interred in the crypt of the Cathedral of St. Mary of the Immaculate Conception. The true father of the Church in Upper Canada, a great missionary, prelate, and patriot, Bishop Alexander Macdonnell was indeed the Apostle of Ontario.